theme for this month, we wanted to strengthen your mental muscle, and the theme we said is the best coaching book I have read. And we had invited our fellow members saying, please tell us if you want to talk about a book for 10 to 15 minutes. So we got 5 nominations. We actually closed it. Kalpesh, the 5th speaker, couldn't be here. So we got 4 speakers. The format we're going to follow is speakers are going to talk about their book for 15 minutes and the learning and the connection for coaching. And towards the end, we're going to have a free Q&A with them. Or if you want to add very briefly about the book you have read and you have made sense, right? Roughly a monthly session, we keep it to 90 minutes. So speaking will take around 1 hour, followed by 15-20 minute Q&A, and if one of you would like to add value there, right? So without further ado, I'm going to straight jump into the session, and I'm going to introduce speakers one by one. I see a few chat box. Okay, so first speaker today is Pradeep Natarajan, and I'm going to introduce Pradeep, and then I'm going to invite Pradeep. So he's a founder of Revology Consulting, boutique management consulting advisory firm, specializing in the business and people transformation through coaching, training, and strategic consulting. He dons various hats and executive and leadership coach, business coach, and strategic consultant. In varied role as an executive coach and strategic consultant, he has coached and consulted many entrepreneurs and business owners. He's a Marshall Goldsmith certified SCC leadership coach and currently working towards ICF PCC. Now, Pradeep, this is what you told me in March. Is that still true, or you're done with your PCC?
Yes, it's still true. I have just to give my last evaluation now.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just going to invite Pradeep. Please put your hand together. So he's going to talk on the book he has found very valuable. So Pradeep, over to you. Do share your screen and 15 minutes.
Thanks, Vivek. Okay, are everybody able to view the screen?
Yes, Pradeep.
Great.
Yes, Pradeep.
So good evening, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful sharing session that we are having today. What I'm going to be sharing today is a book that has deeply impacted me, and in fact, it actually heralded me into the world of coaching when I read it around 5 to 6 years back. So this book is What Got You Here Won't Get You There by none other than Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who really doesn't require any introduction, who is one of the world's best coaches out here. While this is a great book, and I'm sure many of you would have already read it, I think it's to a great extent a condensed Bible on leadership development and one of the most simplistic books written on executive coaching and leadership development. And as Dr. Marshall Goldsmith has rightly said, that the insights in this book are simple, necessarily not easy. So, having said that, let me just go ahead and start sharing with you. So, why is it one of the best coaching books I've read? So, this book, as I told you, is also the main stay behind Marshall Goldsmith's stakeholder centered coaching method, which is considered one of the best executive coaching methods in the world. And the insights shared in this book are significant, not just for leaders, but for coaches alike. And this has assisted me personally to be more aware of many of my unrecognized behavioral habits that were influencing my coaching conversations and also my conversations then, 6 years back, when I was a multiple entrepreneur running more than 3 businesses. Also, the awareness of these unrecognized behavioral habits covered in this book also assisted me to identify the same in C suite leaders, business owners, and board members I was coaching, and also to assist them as to how to discover it and how to become more effective leaders. Some of the useful tools and processes covered in this book, which are very significant from the point of view of coaching and leadership development, are recognizing and addressing 20 unrecognized behavioral habits exhibited by leaders. The second is knowing a very simple but effective tool, knowing how to use to stop, which I'll come to later, as a coaching and development tool. The third one is creating a to stop list rather than a to do list. How many of us know about our to do lists? How about starting from today a two-stop list also? Effective tips shared by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith as a result of the many assignments that he has coaching top leaders from Fortune 10 companies and global companies. The feed forward method, a very effective method that I've been using for the past 7 years, and the 8 step process, which is called ALTTRICF. So, just to summarize a little bit, what is this book about? So, in this book, basically, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith has talked about the lessons that can help top leaders be more effective by looking through their blind spots in their perception. So often we know that successful leaders, despite their flaws, believe that they did because of them. In the sense, they think that they're successful, but it's because of these flaws that has made them who they are and what they are. Unfortunately, these beliefs holds them back from going to their next level of success. And we would be looking into how to address this and take things forward in terms of stopping these habits, which is in the two stop method. So, when confidence turns into arrogance, basically the leader stops listening to others and often tends to overrate himself subliminally and his contribution to the team's success, thereby underestimating the help he may get from the team or from others. Avoiding the mistakes should be celebrated as an important part of growth also. And as all of you know, it's not that easy for top leaders to admit their mistakes or even acknowledge their mistakes, even in behind closed doors. As a part of our executive assignments, all of us would have seen that it's so difficult, sometimes you can say a tough nut to crack, for someone to really look at their blind spots and acknowledge it and go forward from there. So that the important theme in this book is at the top, it is all about helping others shine. So it's leadership development, as Dr. Marshall Goldsmith rightly keeps speaking, is not about me as a leader, but about everybody else and how I can make them shine. The behavioral problems, not work skills, are what separates the great from the near great. This is what is covered through various case studies and examples in this book. Colossal results can come from practicing simple and basic behaviors like saying simple things like thank you, apologizing and acknowledging your mistakes, listening well, and most important, thinking before you speak. And last but not the least, the most effective part that you can get out of this book is that the first step to change in the first place is wanting to change. So these are some of the unrecognizable behavioral habits in this book. There are 20 of them, so I wouldn't be covering that in length because it will take away the joy of reading the book. But I'll quickly just run through the screens in case people want to have a screen grab, they can do so, or later on they can just email to me and I'll have these 20 habits mailed across to them. But these are what Dr. Marshall Goldsmith says as 20 habits, unrecognizable habits that really setbacks a leader. So some of them being speaking when angry, failing to give proper recognition, making excuses, clinging to the past, playing favorites, refusing to express regret, the art of not listening, punishing the messenger, passing the buck, and the most important, an excessive need to be me. How many of us agree most of the bosses that we have seen having this trait, but quite unrecognizable when it comes to them? So I wouldn't go through these. Maybe if we have more time during the Q&A, we could probably go through the same. So let us now look at what is it that this book has to offer us in this aspect. So this, the simplest technique, what Dr. Marshall Goldsmith has talked about in this book is how to stop these unrecognizable behaviors, and in that sense, how do you expand your leadership vision? So this is a very beautiful quote by Peter Drucker. We spend a lot of time helping leaders learn what to do, we don't spend enough time helping leaders learn what to stop. And that is the place where we come from, where we say smart people know what to do, but they need to know what to stop. And as coaches, as executive coach or a business coach or whatever we are, in whichever niche of coaching that we are having, I guess this is what we uh, would say live our role as, is helping our clients discover what to stop. And once they get to see those blind spots, they can then acknowledge it and move forward if they're willing to change. The second aspect of this book is very small, effective tips. But as Dr. Goldsmith says, simple but not necessarily easy. The first one, knowing the answer to how do you feel about me does not matter when it comes to getting better. What matters is how can I get better? So moving from what do you feel about me to being in decisive action, how can I be better and what can I do better? Apologize. A very simple yet not a very easy thing to do. Hearing people out does not make you dumber, so listen and say thank you. Gratitude is not a limited resource. Express your thanks more often. How many of us here would agree that forgiveness doesn't come quite easy in the workplace? I can see a lot of people saying yes to that. And this is the most effective tool that we can use at the workplace. Simple but yet not easy. The question to ask yourself when making a destructive or critical comment about someone is not what is true, is this true or not, but is it really worth doing that? Because destructive or critical comments can really create a very toxic workplace. The last one is the fallacy of adding too much value. Most of the leaders feel that due to their experience and having been there and reached at the top, would want to add value in everything that they do without understanding that they adding value, and in that process they kill the ownership of other people's ideas. So when you add to the idea, it no longer feels like it is their idea, and that alienates it from them, taking away the stakeholdership in the whole process. So, as necessarily said, things can be quite simple in terms of being effective, but not as easy unless we want to really put it to use. The other technique that Dr. Marshall Goldsmith shares in this book is an effective technique of feed forward. So we've all heard about feedback, and Dr. Marshall Goldsmith talks here about feed forward because he quite exercises the importance of being the present. And as we know, coaching is all about moving a person from the present and creating a new future without getting into the past. And feed forward is exactly that, where it's letting go of the past, listening to suggestions without judgments, learning as much as you can, and helping as much as you can. And these learning points is what makes us a great coach. Not only as coaches ourselves, but even the leader or the manager as a coach. So, what is the method that revolves around feed forward? Marshall Goldsmith's feed forward mainly emphasizes that asking for suggestions for the future instead of discussing the past is one of the most effective ways of dealing with it. What can I do in the future to get better at whatever area you're trying to improve is the most important part of feed forward. This creates hope, visibility, and enthusiasm to try and improve with our team members itself. So, the feed forward technique can be divided into three easy steps. First one, you decide on a single behavior you would like to improve upon. For example, being better at communication, wanting to acknowledge your team members, listening more than speaking out, etc. So you pick a behavior that you do often at the workplace, and improving it would make a significant difference for both you and the people around you. So that is step one. Step two, you as the leader, you approach your team members individually and ask them, I'm working on improving my behavior in this area. Can you give me two suggestions on what I can do so that I can improve in this area? Mind it, no discussions about the past, but only suggestions for the future. This is what makes it different from feedback. And the third step is listen carefully to the suggestions and note them down. You do not defend or justify your behavior. Don't even say good suggestion or bad suggestion or lead the conversation. Just reply with a thank you or thank you for your suggestions. So, this is the three-step feed forward. So, what happens as a result of this feed forward? The leader then picks to act on few of these suggestions during their day-to-day interaction with the whole team. And at the end of the month or after a period of time, the leader asks the team members for feedback for acting on the suggestions that they have offered, saying, how did I do it? He also asks, what else can I do in the next month to make this better or make a giant improvement? So, this process of feedback and feed forward is repeated until the leader's behavior and the team member's perception has changed and they achieve success. Here, I would like to emphasize on two words, which is the team member's perception. Dr. Marshall Goldsmith heavily weighs the importance of perception linked to change. And he says that visible change is nothing else but change in perception, visible and evident among your stakeholders or your team members. And that is where the feed forward technique comes in so effectively. After this, we would now want to move on to another very simple technique which is offered in this book. It's a process which is called as the 8-step process called ALTTRICF. It's a very simple process. The leader first asks, so you ask your team members about something. He listens to them, thinks over it, thanks or acknowledges the member for that. He then responds to it by writing a mail to them saying that these were your suggestions and this is what I'm going to be working on. Then, through the period of time, he gets involved in it by putting those suggestions into actions, which is a part of the entire change process itself, and then goes up to the team member after a brief period of time, say 15 days or 1 month or whatever it is, and follows up saying how he or she has done better. So, this is a very, very effective process in which leadership development becomes an activity not just for the leader, but something that engages all the stakeholders, the team members around them, and involves them into one cohesive process. So, this is another process which is discussed in the book. So, I would like to end today's book sharing without going too much into each one of them because I don't want to take away the joy of you reading this book, because this is one book which can massively change the way you look at behavioral change. And the things to reflect upon is what is really important for you to change, both as a person and as a professional. And both these changes can be done by reading this book and following and being aware of some of those ineffective, unrecognized habits which are blind spots for us. Another question to really reflect upon is what percent of all interpersonal communications time is spent on people talking about how smart, special, or wonderful they are, or listening to someone do this? See, this is something that we get into as a daily activity, but are we really aware of? This is something to reflect upon. And second one, people talking about how stupid, inept, or bad someone else is, which is nothing else but criticism and judgments, or listening to someone do this also. So we are equal partners in crime. So I guess this is something that we could reflect upon and then embrace to bring about a great sustainable behavioral change in both us as a coach and also in our coaches. So, with this, I end my presentation and I would be open to more questions in the question answer round. If you have any questions, you can please email me at pradeep@rivalogic-consulting.com and I would be happy to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradeep. I
Great
think the
model, Pradeep.
powerful part for me, as the person who makes a lot of to-do list is not to-do list. Thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to share my screen here quickly. Share screen. And let's introduce and welcome our next speaker of the evening today, Smriti Chandra. Smriti, are you joining from London today?
That's right, Vivek.
Yeah. So a brief introduction about, let me just get her introduction. Here it is. So she works as an international executive career and leadership coach and consultant. So she has lived in India, Paris, and London, global traveler. So she has worked in global organizations like McKinsey, Computer Sciences Corporation, American Experience in L&D space. She's the founder of Passionville Learning and Leadership Solutions. Her areas of expertise are in mid-career transition, executive and leadership coaching. She's a certified ICF coach, certified PAV coach from Coaching and Leadership International Canada, emotional intelligence and MBTI practitioner. She's based in London with her family. She enjoys nature, yoga, and painting. I just wanted to tell our members, it's not while we are ICF Pune chapter, but we got members from all over the globe. Yeah, do join our chapter. So Smriti, over to you. I'll just give a reminder at 13 minutes and then you can close by 15 minutes. You can share your screen and all yours. Friends, please put your hands together. Welcome, Smriti. Yep, we can see your screen.
Vivek, yeah, great that everyone can see the screen now. Just give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. So as Vivek said, I'm Smriti and I work as an executive coach and in different capacities with individuals and organizations and also on some large scale projects. So how I came across the book, Coach the Person, Not the Problem. So around 4.5 years back when I started focusing on coaching, I learned a lot of theories and frameworks which gave me a strong start. And at the same time, I was very curious as a young coach to find out what is the magic to do something which is transformational coaching. So how do you really bring about the change that is visible as Pradeep was talking about? And I stumbled upon a coaching demo by Dr. Marcia and and I got really curious about it. So during the session, I found that she was really present and focused and it almost seemed effortless. Of course, she has a lot of years of experience behind her, but just the overall approach was something that intrigued me, and I wanted to find out more about it. That's when I looked at a lot of content online, and then very late I got the book. So in fact, I started learning through the video and started applying bit by bit what she was trying to teach in her demos and the content that she shared. So today I'll be sharing with you, just give me a moment, yes. So in this session, we will focus on what is reflective inquiry and what are the 5 best practices that you can use as you move on in this journey, and the 3 magical mental habits that I find very powerful to catch myself as a coach. So this is the first one, which is the reflective inquiry. So I'll share an example of one of my clients that I worked with. And So my client came with the objective of she wanted to pursue a new role in her organization, and that's when she saw an opening, and that was the context for her. And she came to the coaching session, and she said that I have got something, there is an opening, and I want to apply. And at the same time, she shared that she feels she does not have all the skills for the role. And also, she feels that she does not want to take the added responsibility because the role required certain skills at a managerial level, and she felt that it would be an added thing for her. And so I just heard her, and then I replayed what I heard from her. And she so I said that, you wanted to take up a new role, you have been sharing about it, and now there was an opening, and you're saying I do not have the skills right now, and I don't want to take the added responsibility. I'm wondering which of these two stand out strongly for you. And I could feel the pause, the emotional shift in her. And then she shared with me what she wanted to do further. So, this is an example of a reflective statement with a follow up question. This is the process of getting the client through a reflective inquiry. And as Dr. Marsha says, questions help you to seek answers, and inquiry is more expansive. It leads you to find out a lot of things which are leading to your pattern of thinking, your beliefs, and the value system that you have. And this was very powerful for me because as coaches, we think, that we are a partner in the journey with the client who are helping them to get unstuck with all the stories that are going round and round in their minds. And when I learned this and I started applying slowly and gradually, I felt that the process felt more natural for me. Instead of trying to keep the burden of asking, I will ask the best question, I felt more relaxed in my own process as a coach so that I can be more, aware about my own emotions along with what is happening to the client. And this was really powerful moment for me to try and practice. In fact, it was just like, a kid getting something out of the toolbox. And this is when I learned about, just give me a moment. Yes. So from doing coaching to you are being a coach, this was the moment where I realized that that's how you start the process of being a coach rather than trying to coach someone. So, and how we move on to the process of reflective inquiry, she shares about the 5 best practices. I'm wondering why the slide is not. Okay. So the 5 best practices that is mentioned in the book is about focusing the coaching on the person and not the problem, the active replay, the brain hacking, goaltending, and something which is around new and the next. So focus is about moving away from finding a solution to the problem. It is about facilitating the client to help them see through those patterns of thinking, which might be a fear which is hidden behind an inherited belief, which has not been examined or evaluated for them. And it was really very, very helpful for me to stop thinking like a consultant, because of your work and the way you're wired, you're always thinking about, okay, this is the big problem. This is what we have to do. So this helps me to step back.
Let me just mute people. Just give me a minute. Yeah, Smriti, please go ahead.
Yeah. And then the active replay, which is about summarizing, paraphrasing, and using the exact words, the phrases, and the language that the client is using. Sometimes it could also be a metaphor. So when you bring those pieces in front of the client, they see that everything is laid out in front of them on a table, and they are able to pick and choose how they are making the choices, how the decision making is done. Then the brain hacking, it's a big chapter, and you can read the book and you can get to know more. But we all know that inside our brain is a box full of stories. and which are shaped through our life experiences. The beliefs we hold, the assumptions we have, the values we live by. And a lot of times the frame of the box becomes bigger as we get older in our lives. And that's where she says that, when you're coaching someone, help them get unstuck inside their stories, the stories in which they are stuck. Help them to get unstuck in that. So this is something that I can share. One example which comes to mind is about a client when I was working, and he wanted to get promoted in his organization, and he was very sincere and hardworking, and he felt that he deserved that promotion. So when he comes to the coaching session, he says that this is my goal for today, and this is what I want to discuss with my manager. And I just listened, and I asked him, what is coming in your way? He said that, it seems simple, but it's very difficult for me to ask for a promotion. And then I said that you have been wanting it, and now is the moment for you. What belief is holding you back? And he said, what happened? When I was a child, my parents always taught me not to ask for something. So I find it really difficult to say that, I have done this much work, I have the capability, I'm already playing the next level role, and I should get promoted. And that was like a big moment for the client. And he just paused and he said, can I work on this belief today? I want to find out more about it. I want to see how I can overcome this and discuss with my manager very confidently. And I don't want to know the outcome. But somehow, whatever he would have discussed, and the outcome is that he got promoted. So that was a real breakthrough in my practice, when I saw that how you apply the principles and use those techniques and see that how the real transformation comes. But at the same time, you need to be curious, non-judgmental, and offer that space to the client, so that you're not judging the stories that are going on, the beliefs that have shaped them. Then the goaltending is about establishing the bookends of coaching. When you are in the coaching space, how you help the client to think about the desired outcome and the commitment that they are willing. In fact, Pradeep talked about that. What do you want? The willingness that you want to change or not change. The commitment that you put, what will you do next? And possibly it could be something which is a new change that they want to bring, which will help them to move towards their goal. And at the same time, we need to see how the coaching is progressing. Where are we going in this process? What are you learning about yourself? And now what are you willing to commit to? So she gives a very simple picture, like, what do you want? And move to, what do you really want? And then what do you want to do next? What do you want to commit to? So this simple principle and keeping these best practices and using your reflective inquiry really helps to expand the frame of the client. And when there is a crack, there is a breakthrough in the coaching process. Now, moving on to the three mental habits that is mentioned in the book. It's called the ARC, A-R-C. ARC is about aligning your brain, receiving and not just listening, catching and releasing the judgment. These three habits really helps to prepare for the coaching session and offer your best presence to the client. A lot of times we are tied up in our own worlds, even as coaches and whatever profession we choose, there is so much going on within ourselves. But when we are entering the coaching space, we need to see that how we are aware of our own thoughts and how we can release those thoughts before the coaching session. So aligning the brain, there are three things that she talks about, that choose the emotion that you want to feel during the session. Because our role is to be as objective for the client as possible, so that they can see the mirror, we can hold up the mirror for them, they can see the reflection and make the choices that they want to, whether they want to keep it or they want to leave it. Then receiving is about listening beyond the analytical brain. Trust me, this is the toughest one for me, that you don't put your head into it and receive or release all the analytical thoughts that are coming to your mind. And she talks about connecting with the client by opening up your nervous system and receiving through your heart, gut, and an open mind. And she says that this process is very courageous. It's not just being a passive listener to the client. It's about being an active having an active participation with the client, so that you're listening for the keywords, the cues, the patterns, the beliefs, and you're bringing forth back to the client. And the third is about how do you understand that you are judgmental? So to release judgment, understand that you are judgmental as a human being. This is our instinct. We make meaning out of what we hear and see in this world. So it is very important that we first accept that we are judgmental. And when we accept it, then there is more willingness, and we can witness those judgments during our conversation, and we can acknowledge it and work through it during the session also. There are a lot of exercises that she has provided in the book, and a lot of case studies, how she has applied it in her own practice. So this is something that I'm still on my path. It is a path of mastery that you need to take in your own life, learn through the process. And one of the best gifts that you can offer to your client is your presence, your undivided attention, which helps them to really feel that psychological safety with you and create those breakthrough results for themselves. I'll just pause here and I can take up questions.
So Smriti, if you're okay, we'll take questions towards the end.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Great.
Let me pause here. If you could stop sharing, please. Wow. See, I think, as we move from one speaker to another speaker, looks like, yeah, that's the book you need to read. That's the book you need to read. That's the powerful insight, right? Like
Yes.
that mirror is going to stay with me. And there's two questions. What do you want and what do you really want? Yeah. Super. Thank you, Smriti. Thank you for the time. I don't know what's the local time there in London, but thank you for making for ICF Pune chapter. Let me share my screen. Sorry. Yeah. Let me share my screen and introduce the third speaker, Poonam Yevle, life coach for business owners. And I'm going to pull out introduction for Poonam in a minute. So Poonam has overall 11 years of coaching experience and 5 years as a nutritionist at Talwalkar's, India's well-known gym chain. A simultaneous experience of 10 years as growth strategist with Bridge Consultant and other small businesses. I'm going to share more of her coaching part. She has a big bio. Completed module 1 and 2 coaching certification from Ericsson International. Completed formal coaching mentorship program. Rigorously trained for over 500 hours by a landmark worldwide to lead their programs on transforming human mindset. And I think she predominantly works with business owners, small and medium enterprises, and senior to top management leaders. Yeah. So welcome, Poonam. I think she was about to tell stories, but looks like she has made a PPT for us as well. Yeah. So Poonam, if you could unmute yourself, I'm going to put a spotlight on you, and do share your slides. I've given you rights.
Thank you, Vivek. Just a minute. I'm just getting my slide in order.
See if you could share your screen.
See my slide, right?
Yes. If you just do in a presentation mode.
I just organize it. All right. So thanks for the introduction. And oops. Okay. So I actually didn't create a slide. I came in and I'm like, everybody has slides. I should also have a slide. So I just put some things together. But then I know what I'm going to talk about. So here it is. So I read this book, The Prosperous Coach. But before that, I want to share that I actually did my certification in the coaching certification in 2019. And I was, chugging along, and I was figuring out how to get clients, how to, keep engaging more and more people and letting them know of the work that I can actually do. But I read this book in 2020, probably in May 2020. So in March, the lockdown happened. I had joined a business networking group, and I was in it networking, but I really didn't know how to use the structure that well. This book was introduced to me by Hemant, the very own Hemant Deshpande. He had shared this on the group, and I said to myself that one day I'm going to read this book. And but I never got around to reading it. And then someday I was just going through a YouTube channel, and I saw a coach coaching people on stage. And they were, that I just found it amazing that he could actually do some really deep coaching in front of so many people. And that guy looked like an introvert. I was like, who is this guy? So I got very curious about who is this coach? And I found out his name. His name was Rich Litwin. And he's the one who wrote this book, The Prosperous Coach. So I said, okay, I have to immediately download this book. And, I downloaded it on Audible, and I started reading it. So what really changed for me after I read this book? So I want to share a few themes, a few of the points that he keeps talking about. The first thing that really struck me about what he says is that selling does not come naturally to most of us. It was not taught in our schools, nor part of our mainstream education. Most of us coaches are a shy lot. We're sensitive, and we don't like to brag about our achievements. But to build a coaching business, we need to be out there and talk about what our clients are achieving through our coaching. And to build this capability of selling, we must learn to take injury to our self-esteem. He said, yes, lives in the land of the no's. And I was really, I was like, okay, so this is what I got to do first. And if you actually go through the book, you will discover that he speaks a lot about how you can really build your coaching business. He addresses all the spaces that we as coaches go through. And so I said, okay, let me try this on. Now, I had created a workshop for my BNI group. And I said, let me use this workshop as a pathway for me to engage with more and more people and master the capability of selling. And there are many, many other important points which I'm going to mention further. So I started that. A year down the line, I actually, if I look at the numbers, I actually have done more than 170 business owners I have spoken to personally, one-on-one. I have 70 people who actually attended my workshops. And out of that, 7 people took on my quarterly coaching programs. And out of that, 4 of them are now on an annual subscription with me. So, I really got the power of yes lives in the land of the no's. If I hadn't really approached so many people, I wouldn't really know, what is the kind of client that I want and how many people are actually going to say yes to me. So it was a really great learning experience. Now, let me talk to you about the fact that he says, or rather, coaching is a separate thing. We all as coaches love to coach. But when it comes to the business part of it, we say, you know what, I'm not a good salesperson, or I can't talk much about my work. I just can't do this part well. But you can't coach unless you don't get your coaches. And the only way to get your coaches is to learn your capabilities in the business aspect of, the coaching. So he really demarcates this really well. And the other aspect he said is make your selling or make your proposing more of a coaching experience, because that's what you like to do. We as coaches love to coach. So he says that when you propose, you create that time also as a coaching experience for the person. So every conversation that I actually had with a business owner was a coaching conversation. And that's how, I made it something that I actually liked doing a lot more. Now, some of the other learnings that I ongoingly remember. So if you read his book, there are points that keep going on in your mind. So there is this thing called needy is creepy. So जब हम लोगों के सामने बैठते हैं and then we are like, okay, you've got to take this, it'll really work for you and all of that. He actually takes you step by step on how you can speak to a client without occurring as needy. Because the moment the client feels that you're needy, he just runs miles away. He doesn't want to do any business with you. So he really takes you through the emotional spaces, the step-by-step conversational spaces that one can go through while one is engaging with a client. The other thing is clients are created, not attracted. So one of the things that Rich talks about is people don't have a coaching budget. Corporates have, so we coaches like to run to the corporates, but otherwise we are still people like us, I love to work with business owners. They don't have a coaching budget. So then how do I create a client? That's where I actually developed more of my muscle. I kept looking at what does the business owner want, and I kept creating. And I'm very proud to say that I created a lot of clients. Some did quarterly programs, left. A few of them are with me, annual subscription, but that's fine. He said, the other one is that grow your professional self-esteem. So, like we said, we don't like to brag about ourselves. So he says, please share the breakthroughs that your clients are causing. Share about yourself, share what you think. And I have been practicing that. I honestly was a very shy person. I don't like to really, even doing this presentation is the first time for me actually. So, but yes, I've been practicing enough, so I built that muscle. So he tells us to write down, all the breakthroughs that our clients have caused, and we have to create a file of those breakthroughs, and you keep going through them so that you can remember who you are and what you have caused before you talk to your client. Yes, this is the most important one, slow down to speed up. So after running it was like a sprint or a marathon, I don't know, but the last 1 year of talking to so many business owners and going through so many workshops, I got a bit overwhelmed. And I was like, okay, I have to stop, because this is like a motion that's going on, and I need to stop and take a stock of things. And in the book, he writes that you need to, slow down. There comes a time in your business when you need to slow down and you need to engage in what is it now that I want to create in the next stage of my business. And I really did that. I saw Rich in his emailer. He wrote, I'm taking a break for 3 months. So I said, okay, if Rich can take a break for 3 months, I can take a break for 2 months. So I took a 2-month break, and it really worked, because now I'm very clear. I'm just out of my sabbatical, and I'm very clear about, how I want to proceed further. But I'm taking it really slow, and I'm putting things in place so that it is a sustainable process for me as well, to create clients and to serve them and to keep living inside of my purpose. So yeah, so one of the main reasons why I would ask all of us coaches to read that book, those who haven't read it, I'm sure a lot of you have read it, but for those who haven't read it, it gives us resilience in our coaching journey. It actually, helps you to go through every step of the conversation. So there are different levels that we coaches are, going through as we are growing, different levels of mastery. So this book will help you from not only just the beginner level, but it help you even at the mastery level. So it teaches you every level and what it requires and what we need to bring forth. So I call this book my Bible, and I listen to it on the Audible wherever I'm driving or I'm walking. I listen to it ongoingly and keep learning from it. You can keep learning. There's so much value there. So that's what I wanted to really share about today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Wow. Yes, lies in the land of no's. And
Yes.
ICF Pune is going to trademark saying they hosted your
Fantastic.
first public speech.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice.
The best thing I liked about that book is, he has said that forget about whether you want to convert the person as a client or not. You give him such an experience that whenever the person thinks about any problem, he would come to you.
Absolutely.
And that's how you create clients.
Yeah. And and I used to always wonder, what does a deep coaching conversation look like? So it's an inquiry, and the more you get into that inquiry, the more you look at going deeper and deeper and deeper.
Absolutely.
So beautiful journey.
Great, great.
Thank you.
It's time to welcome the final coach of the evening. Let me share my screen, and here is the person. So, friends, please put your hand together. Welcome Anil Kulkarni, life balance coach. If I share my contact details, I have saved his name as Anil Swimming Coach. Since there are two Anil Kulkarnis in a chapter. So,
Yes.
quick word about Anil. Anil is a seasoned life balance coach with experience of helping clients to get balance back to their lives through life balance assessment tool. Having more than 3 decades of corporate experience in the construction and fit out, as well as management consulting, a domains post his architectural degree. He is passionate about bringing order back to chaos. Starting his coaching journey through training, initially from Coaching and Leadership International 2012, and subsequently from Symbiosis 2015, Anil holds a triple certification as a life balance coach, an executive coach, NLP coach practitioner. He has further secured ACC credential in 2018. Apart from coaching, Anil is passionate about helping competitive swimmers sharpen their skills through regular mentoring and visualization. I remember in one of the chapter meetings, Anil did talk about, I think the swimmer giving him a call and he helping, and then that lady winning the prize. Yeah. So Anil, hearty welcome. Over to you. The next 15 minutes. Do share your screen and the favorite coaching book you have read. All yours.
Thank you so much, Vivek and ICF chapter for giving me this opportunity. So, how do I share the screen? Okay. Okay, we need to.
Yeah, just do in a presentation mode. We can see your slides.
Can see this, right?
Yeah, now yes.
Okay, okay, great. So, the God in Coaching, the title itself talks a lot about what this book is all about. And this book is written by Betska Berg, who is the founder of Coaching and Leadership International. And I was fortunate enough to get my first coach training through CLI. And this book, in my opinion, is a masterpiece about many facets of human behavior. I'm sure Jayashree will agree to this. I don't know if she has read it fully. She had taken it from me for almost 2.5 to 3 months. And how spirituality in coaching can help a client to get creative outcomes. That's what this book is all about. And the CLI methods, PCMP or coaching with mind kinetics, they're all revolving around this, helping the clients reach their higher self. This is how we are going to progress. A little bit information about the author, the impact of this book on myself, spirituality in coaching, what does it mean, universal laws of human behavior and values in coaching. And then my takeaways, main takeaways, 4 or 5 points. So Betska, we can read all about this. She's a Canadian master coach, with more than 6,000 hours of coaching experience spread across 50 countries, 50 countries. Okay, she has been in coaching since 1995, so really a long time. I've never met her, but I have interacted with her on video calls. Her husband was the one who facilitated our coach training, and she used to be on the calls. So her clientele includes many celebrities, politicians, sports persons, moms and dads, common people like you and me. So literally, her clients are from every walk of life. And you know what? This actually busts the myth about coaching niche. And this is where I came from. When I started, I had lots of doubts about where am I going to get my clients from. Do I get them from my background? Do I get them from thin air? And the clients slowly started trickling in when I started demonstrating what my coaching skill are all about. And now I have had clients from right from school kids to CEOs and so on and so forth. So why this book? The philosophy of the God in coaching is using our highest wisdom, our God self. We can put an end to sickness, unhappy workplaces, high divorce rates, drugs, starving children, natural disasters, and the torturing and suffering of humans and animals alike. And this is what my coaching philosophy is. Outstanding results in coaching are achieved when irrespective of the client's identity, a coach connects with the persona of a client. So Smriti, it goes very well with the author of your book, and let's coaching take place at that level. So instead of coaching purposefully, let the coaching happen. Do not coach intentionally, but let coaching happen. So in short, uh, connect with the client at a much higher level than face-to-face discussion or whatever. Go deeper, take the client to a higher level, and then you can get profound results. According to Betska, world peace is achieved as more and more individuals find inner peace through mind, body, and spirit mastery. And this is the key to a happy life. She also defines it as living more from our higher power or our God self, which is wise, positive, kind, and compassionate. She believes that life coaches, being in a position of power to bring about positive changes in the world, should practice mastery themselves so they can inculcate this habit in their clients. We have all known the definition of coaching as ICF has written it down for us. Now, here is a very simple definition Betska has put in her book, the very first few pages: self-discovery for genius solutions. That's the definition of coaching. And before this, she has written a whole paragraph, what coaching is and how it can be defined. And then she says this one sentence defines coaching. So to achieve this, or being the agents of change, we end up asking good questions, stimulating the client's thinking, and encouraging them. This is how a client discovers the best way forward for herself or himself in that particular moment. Now, this is the most liked thing about this book, why I resonate with this book so much and the PCMK methodologies. The book talks about 5 levels of consciousness, and the higher we go, the wiser and more peaceful we become. Spirituality in coaching is all about connecting to our higher self, which opens up our creative centers in the brain. It prevents many disasters because wisdom comes to you before these disasters can happen, right? And this has a very striking similarity with This has a striking similarity with our own Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, which talks about 5 layers of our existence or koshas, and they are Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya kosha. And evolution of an individual to Anandamaya kosha is equivalent to self-realization. So this, I found a very striking similarity between this philosophy of God in coaching and Taittiriya Upanishad. Then when we equate this to our own Dill's triangle of logical levels, we can really see the correlation between these 3 things: the God in coaching, the Taittiriya Upanishad, and the Dill's triangle of logical levels, right? Oh, just a minute. Okay. This book is very profound, and the system itself, the PCMK methodology itself, is quite profound about universal laws of human behavior and the values of humanity. Okay, it keeps talking about all these things, both these things, pages after pages, paragraph after paragraph, and we really can dive deep into these. So it says that we are bound by various man-made laws of society, whether legal, moral, or ethical. And then there are physical laws from science, which also guide our daily living. But then what about emotional and spiritual laws? That is where it introduces universal laws of human behavior, the uniqueness of this book. Okay. The concept has born out of a need for emotional and spiritual laws binding the human behavior. The laws have been found to be highly effective in coaching sessions. Now, I have myself used these laws in many of my coaching sessions with a very positive and great impact. Recently, coaching one of the executives for a US firm, I had used three methodologies from PCMK and used universal laws and values. And the client has moved in such a, uh, I don't know how to describe it, but he has sent me a mail after the coaching sessions were over, and he has committed that he is going to recommend his wife as my coach. So that's the impact that he has got through the coaching, and this is the impact that has been created by this the system, the universal laws and the values. So what are the universal laws? There are 13 universal laws altogether, and they're quite deep, and we can all correlate with them for our day-to-day life as well as for our coaching sessions. The first law of service, it reminds us of that statutory safety instruction before a flight takes off. Secure yourself first in case of an emergency before helping someone else. So the more I love myself, the more I can love or service the others. First, love yourself. Learn to love yourself. The law of equality, it simplifies the need to put aside our prejudices about self or others, the judgments that we are holding, and honor God's self in everyone. So we are all equals. There's nobody inferior. And this reminds me of a very profound statement Manisha of Gap had made when she had introduced us to Gap, that there is no they and us. There's no concept as us and them. When we coach someone, we are all equals. So that this law of equality goes very close to that. Law of mastery of self is a statement of nothing but the need to rise in the level of our consciousness to be more creative. The law of choice urges one to take responsibility of one's own choices and actions and decisions arising out of those choices. Law of belief helps us identify the unconscious, unconstructive words and thoughts, which in turn get embedded as beliefs and then change them into positive and constructive ones. The law of increase helps us realize that the seeds of gratitude, kindness, joy, etc. will bring even more gratitude and happiness for us to celebrate. And here is one of the most important laws, the mirror law. It's another way of saying that when we point a finger at someone, there are three pointing at us. This is further elaborated as if we are emotionally charged, thinking about someone's unconstructive behavior, then they are mirroring back to us that we have that very same behavior. And all these statements are very, very deep. When we really think about all these things, they really go and touch you inside at your heart level. The law of love, it emphasizes on the need to remove emotional charge a client may have so that creative solutions can surface. And for removing emotional charge during each of the coaching sessions we have with our clients, there are methods, there are systems, and there are tools that are recommended in the system. And when we deploy that, the client really come out with huge turnaround from their situations. The law of giving as well as the law of karma simply emphasize the true meaning of what goes around comes around, or as will sow, so will seed. The law of forgiveness, it urges us to be more kind and compassionate to ourselves and to others by dropping the judgments that we could be holding. The law of life helps us understand that we can overcome our fears using scientifically developed and proven methodologies to use love or to bring love to our relationships, to our situations, to everything in our life. And so, there are there are 75 values that PCMK recommends, and we use them in our coaching sessions with clients so that the clients can really dive deep and examine whether they are serving themselves, whether they are not serving themselves, which are the values they are lacking, and they go on exploring the beliefs behind them. But there are these important 10 values out of those 75, which are really, really important for all of us. Love for others, for everything around us, self-love, acceptance, being completely non-judgmental, honesty, respect, discernment, faith, wisdom, responsibility, and caring. When we have a challenge in our lives, we become disconnected from one or more of the values of humanity. That's what the book says. And so true, isn't it? So what are the takeaways from this book for all of us? Having a coaching niche is a myth. That's the first takeaway I could find. Coaches should regularly practice meditation and other tools to connect with their own higher self so that they can be fully in the moment when they are coaching, and they can justify the coaching session conversation. A coach is highly effective being the God self while in a session. So instead of doing, get into the being zone. Clients get lasting results when allowed to self-reflect about universal laws and values. Self-care is extremely important for coaches to be effective. And PCMK methodologies urge the coaches to use a combination of left brain, right brain questions so the client's creativity gets fired. Self-belief and access to higher self are the best tools for a coach to maintain coaching presence. I think that's all about this book, and this is what I had to share with you all. So let's now dedicate to practice bringing in the God in our coaching every session. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Anil.
Wow. Thank you, Anil.
Thank you.
Wow. Hey, could you please stop sharing, Anil?
Yeah, I read that.
Thank you. All right, friends. Again, round of applause, all four speakers today evening. We still have a few minutes left. So opening forum for Q&A. If you have any questions, you want to compliment, you want to support what they said, just be brief in whatever you're saying so we can give time for maximum number of people. So you may want to raise your hand so I can see you in the participant list and I can invite you. Here comes Aparna. Go ahead.
Yes, I also read The Prosperous Coach that Poonam has recommended. Actually, I read it because she highly recommended it, and believe me, I heard it on Audible and I heard it thrice. It is so powerful, especially when you start having doubts. When you know there's so many self-limiting beliefs that we have as coaches. I mean, at least I had. Will this client click? Will I be able to close this business? So many such questions. And just, I sort of bookmarked every area and I go there and specifically listen to that. It's so powerful, just those words that can help. And it is amazing. I mean, I totally support that book. And while I heard about what Pradeep has spoken. First of all, fantastic share by all of them. And I've taken screenshots. I'll share it with you guys with your photo and the book that you shared on the first slide. So I'm going to be sharing that after this meeting in our group as well as all on our social media. So Pradeep, while you were speaking, after you finished speaking, I sort of got that book. I want to go through that as well. And of course, Anil's book, and Smriti, I've wish list those books and I'm going to be going through them. Like Vivek was saying, the moment you start speaking, you're like, "Isko to mereko padhna hi hai. I have to listen to this. It's so powerful." So I'm so glad I was part of this, audience, and I really learned a lot today. Thank you so much to all four of you.
Thank you, Aparna. So 2 महीने का break लेना है Aparna to read all these books.
ले लेंगे. Slow down to speed up.
Yeah, slow down to speed up. Man, all right. Who else? Views, thoughts, questions, reinforcements, or if you want to take 30 seconds to talk about the book you have read. I know we had put a cap on 5 speakers, so we couldn't really accommodate all, but we still have 5 minutes to go if you want to talk about the book you have read. Or, before we close, you can talk about your takeaway. We can use chat box. And if you want to type one line of what have been your takeaways from the 4 speakers, feel free to type one line in chat box.
You're all shell shocked, I guess.
Yeah.
इतना मतलब shocked है कि कोई बोल ही नहीं रहे.
So Anil, what was the name of the book? I missed it.
The God in Coaching.
The God in Coaching. Okay.
Yes.
Smriti is saying yes lies in the lands of no. Nitin says thank you. Yes. Effective way of Poonam sharing. You need coaches to do your coaching. Coaches. Yeah. I also like, Poonam, the point of the budget. Clients never have budget. I think you got to create one. That's another powerful takeaway. So don't shy to market your business. Yeah. Or have a coaching conversation, not a selling conversation.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very fast.
Yeah, Nitin.
Yeah. So basically, many thanks to all the speakers. It was a wonderful session. It was very much informative. Just to add a bit, I'm a great fan of Marshall Goldsmith. I have already read the book and it's a fantastic one. And many thanks to Pradeep that he very nicely summarized it, okay, so that the people can get gist of it and get curious to read that, okay, and make the accordingly behavioral change in themselves, okay, to explore the path of success. And also Poonam also very rightly highlighted, and the key point which is that it's just not about we need to deliver the result to our customers, but their experience is equally important. Okay, people doesn't remember basically what you told them or what you made them. What they remember is how you made them feel. So the experience is key here, key to success.
True.
And other 2 speakers were also very good, okay, but it's a bit difficult for me to grasp each and everything, okay. So I noted down the point and it's on my agenda to go through all the books as well, rest of the books. So many thanks.
Super. Thank you, Nita. I see Gunjan's hand. Gunjan, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Vivek. I just wanted to express my gratitude to all the 4 speakers. I think these were phenomenal summaries. And I haven't really read any of the books. But what came out for me is that the collection of books came together so well that it gives me, help at each stage of the coaching. Start with the prosperous coach, get over your inhibitions, build your business. And then kind of as you move up your journey, reach that final nirvana stage, the God in Coaching. So I thought these were like really, really good books and kind of like a roadmap. So thank you.
Super. Thank you. All right, Pradeep and Jayashree, go ahead.
Okay. Jayashree first.
All right, yeah.
Great.
Jayashree?
Yeah.
We're sharing something.
So this is Betska.
That is Betska.
This is Betska Burr, and 2 years ago I took this course with her in Canada, and let me see if I can expand it. What you see behind her is the positive, I forget what it's called, but the positive reinforcement statement for myself. She made us write, so I, Jayashree, now live a purposeful life because of loving acceptance
of myself and others as perfect beings. So this was my closing statement when I took the course from her. And the the partner that you see, that's the course material. So that's the that's the course material. I just wanted to share that with you.
And Jayashree, how many months you get to read that all? I don't know.
No, actually, it is. It's never fully complete in that course, but it's available to us, so it's there. And I think one of the things that I would, just reinforce two things. One is what Anil has been saying, right? That we need to access our God self. And what does that mean? Because it sounds very, it's very sixth sense kind of a thing. And I think the one sentence that she keeps repeating at the beginning of every session or day is that, keep your ego out in the garden.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So only when your ego is out in the garden can you really access the intuition. Otherwise, we will label our judgments as our intuition. So, and Smriti here also, in fact, has done a course from Betska. So she's also a PCMK coach, Smriti Chandra, though she did not choose this book. And the other one that Aparna and Poonam, and I've not read that book that you're referring to, but you're talking about the limiting beliefs, right? I mean, if I get this kind of a client, how will I be able to do justice? Will I be able to serve this kind of a client? And Betka's assurance to us is that universe will send you the clients for whom you are ready. So universe send you the clients if you are not ready. So the client has come to you, it means you're ready. So just go there with your full acceptance and full confidence. So that's the only thing that I wanted to share.
Thanks. One second. So the next session is really 2 pills to take to become ready, so that the coaches come your okay. Time wise, we got a couple of minutes. So 30 seconds, Smriti, 30 seconds, Pradeep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, and especially ICF Pune chapter to give me an opportunity to share. I wanted to confess that this book is like a Bible. It has so many dimensions. I have reread it more than 3 to 4 times. And one of the effective ways in which it's helped me is the 20 unrecognized habits written by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith out here. I practice one habit every month, and I've been doing this for the past 5 years. And I think it is consistency that creates a subliminal habit in us, and we start living the essence. And every time it's like peeling of the onion, and newer and newer dimensions coming out of it. So I would request all of you to surely read that and let it impact your life. And thank you very much to the other speakers also. It was very insightful and really enjoyed the book reading. Thank you so much.
Yes, Smriti.
Yeah, so thank you to Vivek, Aparna, who have been driving this initiative of getting all of us together, and great learning from all the coaches who have presented. I have also read the book, The God in Coaching. So it is something which is really beyond the realm. Like it is not like, just that you are living in this world and you're trying to do coaching, but everyone has a journey. Even if you have read the book, the theories and the concepts, there is a journey. And that is what reminds when I hear from everyone, and the Poonam, what she says, that every experience that you have with a client is really very important and powerful moment. And once you apply all these principles, yes, lies in the land of no's, or coach from your God self, and all these principles, we have to come together and see how it works with the clients. Because without making mistakes, I don't know if anyone has become a coach over their journey, in their professional journey. So thank you so much, everyone.
So on behalf of ICF Pune chapter, dear speakers, thank you so much. We are planning really something exciting next month. So we'll send you the marketing collateral soon.